or high level fights boring to watch on Sparking Zero. So what's good, y'all? It's We's back here in a video. So in today's video, right, basically I want to talk about something that what basically something happened like recently on TikTok. I posted a video on TikTok basically of me fighting the best PS5 player in Sparking Zero. It's him right here, the old rider. His name is Speedy, but like yeah, he's the best PS5 player. And people said the fight was boring between me and him. Like at first, I didn't really understand why they said the fight was like boring. But after rewatching the clip, I do understand. It was because all we were doing was super countering. We were just having super counter wars, super counter wars after super counter wars. That's all we were doing. The whole fight, the whole fight. It was all about super countering. But yeah, I prefer fighting a top tier player who actually knows how to throw hands, super counter rather than facing another top tier player who just throw random supers or double swoop to spark. So shout out to Speed for not being a fraud. But yeah, having super counters leading the Vanish Wars, that has to be the dumbest idea the developers like had to come up with because like first of all, right, this game is a timing based game, right? It's timing based, but it's like bro, when you're playing online, right, you face players that basically you would like their connection are just so bad that for you to be able to super counter you have to like press your square and up your analog like 3 seconds before they hit you, right? And that is ridiculous, especially when you win your neutral game and all like they super counter you like frame one and you basically can't do nothing about it. And like when I'm fighting a player like Speedy, right, who's like like I said, one of the best player in this game, like you have no choice to actually go for super counter wars against them. Like, but having a game, right, just based on just one mechanic, right, just super counters, right. This for me is just ridiculous. Like, it's absurd. Like, it's insane. Like, it's like, bro, having a good neutral game, it doesn't matter when in higher ranks because, like, no matter how good your neutral game is, if your opponent super counters you frame one, right, even if he doesn't mean to, right, and he has more key than you do, it's over for you, bro. If you can't super counter, you're basically dead. You're dead. If he's using MUI like myself or Broly, full power Jiren, Whis, Beers, all these characters, right? And you have no more key, you can't super counter. He's gonna do 4 follow-ups. These follow-ups is literally 10k damage, 1 health bar is gone. About Speed, like Speedy's insane, right? Like he's very good. Like he has a better neutral game than I do, right? I'm just talking about there are players, right? Like I learned that the hard way, like I fight players, right? I know that I have a better neutral game than they do, right? I always win my neutral fights against them, right? But the fact that they have more key than I do, they win the fights. They always win. So that's why like when I'm fighting now, I just go for like super counters. Like I only go for super counters when I fight because that's literally the only way for me to actually win fights. Because if I don't super counter, I lose the fight. I lose the fight because they have more key than I do, and if I try revenge countering them, they're gonna use the exploit. So I'm basically forced to actually super counter. Like to actually learn how to super counter like very very well. And for me, I feel like it's very unfortunate. Like for me, I think that the way they made the super counter mechanics in this game is just like I said, it's very very bad. Like it should, it's ridiculous, it's frustrating. Like every single time I would win my neutral fights against someone, and unfortunately he always has more key than I do. So that's why every single time I fight now, it's always about I always go for super counters. I always have super counter wars against people. Like it's not my fault. Like it kind of is, but also not, because it's like I'm someone who I want to fight. I'm super aggressive against like I'm usually like super aggressive when I'm playing. So if I know I'm not gonna have key advantage, I'm going to force super counter wars every single time until they don't fix that super counter stuff. The Vanish Wars, I'm going to just keep super countering. Like I'm always gonna go for super counter wars. I don't care anymore. But yeah, like you might say why don't I use characters with explosive wave. The thing is, I do not like characters with explosive wave. I don't like Jiren. I don't want to use Jiren. I don't like Vegeta. I don't like Gohan. These characters, I don't want to use them. My favorite character in Sparking Zero and Dragon Ball is Goku, so I'm always gonna be a Goku main. And unfortunately, there's no Goku that has explosive waves, so I have to deal with it. But yeah, that's the reason why I only go for super counters in this game. Like since the game came out, I always wanted super counters to actually set the neutral, right? That's all I wanted. I just didn't like the fact that super counters always lead this Vanish Wars. like for me, the only thing that could lead to vanish wars were like vanishing assaults, right? So basically, if someone will use vanish assaults against you and you time it like perfectly and you're able to vanish, for me that was the only thing that should lead to vanish wars. I always thought that super counter should like make you go back to neutral, especially now because the thing is, and like I said in this game, bro, you're fighting players, bro, that are just extremely laggy, that are extremely laggy, and that sucks. Especially, it sucks for the player, like for me, right? The player that wins the neutral game should be the player that should decide whether or not he wants to go into a vanish war or not. I think, right? Let's say I'm fighting a player, right? And the player, right? He wins the neutral game, right? If I super counter him, he should be able to decide whether or not we reset the neutral or we go into a vanish war, right? That's like I think that should be the best way because like right now you can't do that, right? Right now, if someone super counters you, um, you go to a vanish war, and if you have more key, the guy that you won your neutral against, it doesn't matter because he can easily come back because he can, like, if you can't super counter, he could just do 4 follow-ups and boom, your whole health bar is gone. And when I'm fighting a player like Speedy, right? Speedy has a good neutral game as well, so it's like, let's say I'm able to say I win my neutral fight against Speedy, right? If Speedy super counters me, he'll probably have more kill than I do. But so I can't really go for a vanish. I can't really go for a vanish war because if I go for a vanish war, he's just gonna win because he has more kill than I do. So what I do is I just super counter him back. When I'm super countering him, he's gonna super counter me back. Basically, he's not wasting key as well. Players, right? If you super counter them, they're gonna vanish, right? They're gonna waste their key while you're conserving key, right? Like if you go for 3 super counters, they're gonna waste their key and you're gonna keep your key, right? You're not gonna lose nothing, right? So if they vanish like 3 or 4 times, you basically have the same amount of key that they do, or if they have less than you, so you basically can win the vanish war, right? But against a player like Speedy, that's not how it works. Like he's not gonna vanish you. He's not gonna try going for vanish. But like if he knows, right, that he has slightly more key than you do, right? Then he noticed that you're super countering. What he's going to do, he's gonna super counter you back. He's gonna super counter you back until you mess up, right? And if you vanish, he's going to vanish as well. So basically, he's always gonna have the key advantage over you, right? And that's what I do as well, right? So let's say if he has more key than I do, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for super counters. And if he's gonna super counter me back, I'm going to super counter in order to maintain key. Now, that's the thing. Speedy Days, he's a much better super counter player than I do. Like his super counters are better than mine. So I always lose my super counter was against them, right? But that's how our fight usually goes, right? And people say it's boring, but I can understand why. And basically, we're just like both of us are just trying to conserve key. Like I remember, I fought. There was like it was 2 months ago, right? That was when I didn't really know how to super counter like right now. Like I was nowhere near as good at super counters as I'm currently. But Speedy was good at super counters like since the game probably came out. I can't lie. But what happened, right, is I was fighting him, and I didn't know it was him back then, right? I didn't know who Speedy was. I probably fought him, but I didn't really like. For me, I was just okay. It's just a normal guy, like he's just a normal Sparking Zero player. I didn't really know him, but I got like 3 stock, like 4 fights. Like I at least got all of my fights. I got 3 stock, basically, or 4 stock, right? Like he would use beast going. I'd be on MUI, and he literally destroyed me because like he was a better player. Don't get it twisted. He was a better player. Like his neutral game was probably better than mine. Like I said back then, my neutral game was good. Like I'm not that much better than I was like 2 months ago. But the only thing that changed between me right now and me 2 months ago is just I know how to super counter now. But basically, when I was fighting Speedy, like he would super counter me every single time. Like I'd go in a vanish war with him, and he'd just super counter me back to back to back. And I'd always be at a key disadvantage, and he would just go for follow-ups. You go 10k follow-ups damage, right? And I would win my neutral game once here and there. He would super counter me and go for super counters. And basically, I couldn't do nothing about it. I didn't know how to super counter back then. So it was basically, I was literally like, it was bad. It was bad for me. So I basically learned how to super counter, and that's why now when I'm playing, I just go for super counters as well because that's just how it is in higher ranks. I do agree. Like watching two players just do super counter wars like back to back to back is definitely not fun. It's definitely not fun. And that's why I do believe that they should change how super counter works. Like I'm not saying super counter needs to nerf, but I think that super counters should at least reset the neutral, or at least the player who super counters you, or the player who wins neutral, he should be the one to decide whether or not he want to have a super counter war, or go back to neutral, or go to advantage war. I think that's the best way to actually make this game more interesting to watch, because like in like in higher ranks, when you're fighting players in higher ranks, or when you're watching higher ranks players, like when you're watching like top 50 players, top 100 players fight each other, and they're not using character that's explosive way, because this not because now it's different. If we're talking about explosive with characters, now it's not the same, right? It's not the same. It's not, the fights will not look the same. But if you're watching fights where two players or basically just using characters that has no explosive wave, no after image, just basically just regular skill moves, yeah, usually what's gonna happen is gonna be a super counter battle every single time. And the player who's better at super counters is usually the player who's gonna win, or the player who's super counters more in this particular game is the player that's gonna win, right? Neutral game doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all, because it just doesn't matter. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. You guys might or understand what where I'm coming from, and what's your thoughts, or whether or not super counter should actually change, not get nerfed, but actually change like the way it functions. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm out. Peace.